Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we will continue with the cat that I am busy drawing. I have added in a few extra of the darks, mainly on this area, this side here, which just to give me a guideline of where I am and the actual darks across the nose and the mouth area. And as I said to you, this will be a game of adding and removing and adding back in again, which is all the part and process of drawing. So let's continue with it. And it's all about getting a likeness for the particular animal. It will probably end up quite sort of realistic, which is fine, which is exactly what we do want. However, a likeness is a really good start when you are starting out and you are drawing. Hence my showing you how to copy it onto your paper. And it really does give you confidence to carry on, because you don't want to be trying to, if you are a beginner, you don't want to be trying to draw and get proportions correct and 100%. If you can do it like this and work on your tonal values, which are really important. Tonal values are the most important thing in any drawing. Tonal values are what give you a 3D effect, which is what we want to achieve. So what I'm doing is I'm laying down charcoal with my pencil, and then I'm going in with my blending stump and basically blending it out and pushing it into areas that have a darker tone than what the highlights are. We're going to use our paper as our highlights, and we'll see at the end, we may put in a few white pastel chalk marks just to get the whites absolute white, and you know where the highlights are. For instance, in the eyes are very, very important. Anybody who follows my tutorials will know that this is what I focus on. Because that is where you want to lead your viewer, and then they can look around the rest of the drawing to their heart's content. But the eyes are what, for me, are what should draw the actual viewer in. So I'm going to add some charcoal across here. This is quite a dark line, quite a dark marking, and we want to make sure that we get those markings in. I'm just going to take a bit of charcoal across here. You can see I'm not filling the entire area, and that's purely so that I can blend it out and see what I end up with. And if I need to go back in with some more charcoal, it gives me the freedom to do so, because I haven't laid down a massive black line that I can't lift or remove if it's just too much. So this is how I work. I lay some down, pull some out, and basically blend and move the charcoal around with the blending stump, so that we get those contours and those details of the animal. You can see I'm leaving out certain areas because those areas are highlights, and we want to try and keep those. We can always add in afterwards. It's difficult to take out or remove. So we want to make sure we're able to take out and remove wherever we need to. And I'm just adding a little bit of detail in here because this is the fur. And this is what we want to see. We want to go in the direction of the fur. Very, very important for any animal that we do this. This side, you can hardly see that mark that goes down, but it is there. It's a lot lighter than what we have on this side. So we'll put that in, and then this mark here above the eye is quite an important one. So I'm going to lay charcoal down in that area, and of course above the nose is really important as well. So you can see I'm moving around the drawing quite a lot. And that is how I work, I must say. I get a bit sort of, not bored, but if your eyeballs start seeing double, because that is what happens, then just move to another section of the drawing and fill that in. You can see I'm doing this quite vigorously because there's quite a lot of lovely fur lines here and marks. There is up here, and across here there's some lighter ones, and then it does get a bit darker up here. Right, so now we can see that this kitty really is taking shape. So let's blend that out. And you can see I'm still using my small blending stump, and that's purely because I don't want to move the charcoal into areas that are not necessary. And I can see that I need to lay down some more, but that's fine. I'm just going to blend this out and make sure that I don't lay down too much. You can see that there's a darker area here with a white in between, so I just want to blend that down. You can blend that into there. Apologies for the sound if it annoys you of the blending stump, but it's purely because I'm doing it quite vigorously over the paper. Okay, so we don't want to be going into any areas that are definite highlights, and we can always remove, and hopefully it will be very, very highlighted when we do, that we don't have to put in the white pastel markings. So here I can see this area here. We've got that point. Let's get that point in. And then we've got this coming down here. This comes up here. And you can see that I am putting the line, I'm actually making the marks as the fur, direction of the fur grows. Very, very important. We can blend that back in again. This is quite dark around here, so I can go back in, and I will do at a later stage. I just want to build it up. I don't want to go in with everything that I've got and then have to remove it. So this is why I am slowly building up this area here. Keeping that white, bringing that down towards the eye, because that is where it goes to. And then we've got these markings here. I'm just going to put that in ever so lightly, and I'm looking at the reference photo all the time while I'm busy doing this, making sure that I don't end up too dark in some areas that should not be as dark as other areas. This is how we build our tonal values. Got some areas that are white sort of highlights, but we'll go in and we'll pull those out at a later stage. We won't be doing that now. That we'll probably do at the very, very end. so far it's looking really good, I feel. We've got some marks that go up here, so I'm just going to put those in, and it does join, so those are there. There's a couple of little marks here, I'm just putting in a few, and then we've got this ear which has got a hard line, so that's a hard line which we want to make sure that we get, because we don't want to be smudging that into the ear, because that is the edge of it. So you want to make sure that you blend this up and away, blend the edge into a hard line. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the blender across that top part of that ear, or the edge of that ear, and now I am busy putting in some of these marks, just using what is on the blender to go in there. So all I'm doing, there's quite a bit of fluff ball going on over here, so I'm just going to blend that into that area. And even my blender, I am making sure that I'm going in the direction of the fur, purely because then you also manage to get it in the areas that it's in. Tonal values, I'm referring to the tonal values. There we go. So we want to get some of these highlights, these darker tones. We just want to just gently do that, just so that we can see that that is the edge of the ear. Just want to get this in. There we go. We can blend that out. There we go. Now we're starting to really get our tonal values going. And the cat will start becoming 3D, which is absolutely amazing to me, that we can take a flat piece of paper and produce a 3D likeness of something on it. Pulling that up into there are whiskers across here. So once we put the whiskers in, it actually changes the whole look of the animal, which is absolutely fabulous. Taking this down into here, you can see that there's shadow on that side. We want to get those shadows in. We want to get this blended out a bit more, and take it down into that area where we have the shadow. We have shadow over here. All I'm doing is I'm just demarcating where these shadows are with what is on my blending stump. Remember this edge. Make sure it isn't blurred. Coming back up along the top here, blending that out, blending out this whole area here, blending it up into the top here where the fluff is as well, blending it down, and then we have this area here which is quite a highlight, so I'm not going to go in there into that area. I'm just trying to keep those highlighted areas as light as possible. So we don't have to put in, hopefully don't have to put in any white pastel. It's not a problem to put it in, but it would be nice just to sort of keep it, you know, as our tonal value of our paper. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing what is a sort of a method of what they call glazing. So I'm very, very lightly going over what I've put down and just putting in a few details of fur just to give the indication of those slightly darker areas that go into each other, the actual markings of the animal. All I'm doing is I just call this, I refer to it as glazing because I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the paper or my pencil, and just to fill in those areas of where I feel it's slightly darker. There we go. Whoops. So always make sure, that's one thing I should have said. I'm doing this on a sort of a blunt area of the pencil, for want of a better word, so that I don't get massive marks from it. So just find a sort of an area that is not as sharp. So you can see that the area of the pencil that I'm using is blunt. There we go. So you can see that we are getting some really beautiful markings here that are this cat, in this particular cat. It's very, really important because the owner, this is what they look for, and they know their cats or their animals by their markings. Those of you who have animals will know this really well. And I'm just going into this area. I just want to get this whole, it's very, very light. Shadows in the fur. So these are shadows in the fur. Goes out. I just want to get these in as well. I feel that this is a little bit dark on this side, so I might just lift some out. There we go. And then on this side, and of course I'm right-handed and I've worked the opposite way to what I should have worked. But that's okay. I'm going to try my best not to put my hand on everything, which is going to be something. Just putting those in. Then we've got these markings, and I just need to be careful. So we've got this part of the ear that is, this is not as much of a straight line as the other ear is, but it still has a very, very white edge. So I'm just going to get those in. There we go. It's looking good, I think. I hope you're all agreeing with me. So it's very, very easy to lose your space on your place on the actual photograph. So just make sure that the areas that you are blending in are the areas that you are working on. I'm going to blend this out. Blend this in here. excuse me. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to get one of my brushes. Just go over it very, very lightly with my brush. There we go. So remember, we don't want it in the areas where we're going to use the actual paper as the highlight. There we go. It's looking pretty good, I think. There's still a ton more work to be done. So often when people see certain things and they think that it's complete, and there's so many things at the end that one does to complete a drawing like this. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in with the blender. Sorry, but my bracelets are irritating me, so I just wanted to. But now you can see I've gone over that, and I need to get that out. So I'm going to do that right now while I have seen my mistake. I'm going to use this pencil that I have sharpened. So apparently these are great for this sort of detail. Oh, that's all right. Better than I expected. It leaves a lot of debris behind though, which I'm not keen on at all. It's more than the Tombow. It appears. Can't say I'm really a fan of that. And also when you do this to your work, you set yourself up for smudging. So take your kneaded eraser and gently tap on the area where you have that debris and lift it out rather than what I've just done, which is smudging across the page. Okay, so I'm just going to put in a very, very light, you can see I'm putting in a bit of detail with the fur, and I'm using the sharp edge of the actual charcoal pencil. We'll go in and we'll blend a bit of this out again just now, because once you've put all this detail in, then we can start having a look at what needs to be darkened, what needs to be lightened. We're going to have to put in a bit of a background here because all of this hair on this side here is white and here. So we're just going to have to smudge in a little bit of a background just so that we demarcate that for the actual owner of their beautiful cat. Going back over this. Making sure that I get the direction correct and making sure that I'm going to lift a little bit out of here. You can see how much this lifts off. Blend it back in again. So if you see any areas where you feel that you've put in too much, just lift it immediately, because to remember to go back to that area doesn't always happen. This area here I'm going to lift again. Just going to pull it back. You can see I know my hand is in the way, but I'm just trying to pull it back like that. In fact, let me just use this harder one, because I have gone in there a little bit. I have gone a little bit overboard with it. Just going to pull that out. You can see how much debris it leaves on here. Can't say I'm that keen. Oh, that looks better, because this area is definitely more than that. And then all we do is we go in here with our charcoal pencil and we put in those very, very fine hairs. So that one I've gone a bit bossies with, as we say here in South Africa. But you can see that you get really nice thin marks, you know, with the edge of the charcoal pencil. Be very, very careful that you don't go in too hard. I'm at an angle now where I could actually end up putting down too much, so I've just got to be really careful. So this ear comes down here. What is that in line with? That is in line with that. And that is there, so it's about here. Goes into there. Let me just get that right. And then we can start putting in these fine hairs that we have here. Do the same thing on this side. This always makes me feel better when I start putting in this kind of detail before it's finished, because it gives me a really good idea of what the end result is going to be like. And it just sort of gives you a bit of a boost, you know, for carrying on with the rest of the picture, because you're kind of getting detail in that really sort of starts making it look like you're getting somewhere. So here on this side, I just want to get this right. And I just want to pull out this little piece of white here that is sitting, and it's not letting me. I don't like that rubber, I have to say. And that one's even better, because here is a definite dark bit, and then it goes into a fine line, and there's a white highlight, and I want to get that in because those are the markings of this particular cat. There we go, we're getting somewhere. I'm just going to glaze here, just because that gives a bit of a definition to there, and then we can just go in, let's hold it on its side and just go in with those very, very light strokes that give us the fur. Looking very, very good, I have to say. I know I am drawing it, but when you're happy with something, it really does make a difference. Okay, so here we have something going on here, so I just need to join that up with that, and then remove here. This is what I'm doing. I'm fixing as I'm going along, making sure that I don't miss it. Taking that out on the top of the nose, and then I'm putting it in with that pencil. There we go. And as I said to you, we'll have a look at it, and then what will happen is we will end up putting in and pulling out and putting back in again and pulling out, and that is just how it goes with a drawing. Well, I suppose with anything really. Okay, so that's looking fantastic, I feel. We've got to get this area right in the way that this curls down into this mouth of his. Looks so grumpy, but it's obviously just the way his face is made, or the way it looks. Shame. It's a beautiful animal. Slowly, slowly building it up. Very, very slowly building it up, which is the best way to go about it. So if you put in too much, like I did earlier on, it's quite difficult sometimes to remove it, and we don't want to be doing that. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at my reference photograph, and I am just adding in some of the marks that I see. Which obviously gives us all the outlines and everything where we need to be going with the tonal values. Of this beautiful, beautiful cat. Oops, I don't know, something's fallen down in my studio. I have no idea what it is. But that's what that sound was. Okay, we are starting to get somewhere, and for it to look like something. Right, let's do some blending. This is basically what we're going to be doing over the whole of the cat, so you guys can carry on if you have the confidence, which I'm pretty sure you can. All you've got to do is make sure you are putting the marks down with your charcoal where you see it on the original picture that you're working from. Blend this all the way up. It's not completely white as a highlight. Okay, everybody. I think this is the end of our second tutorial. And I think that that is looking really good. I hope you agree, and I hope you've enjoyed drawing this beautiful animal with me.